Nervous butterflies.
Oh, me too.
Right. So. Oh my gosh, I see my face on Zoom. On Facebook.
All right, we're on.
So if I look up, I can. Oh.
Go to the Zoom meeting.
Wow.
How did you get that?
Because it's live on Facebook. So
it's
before
on
it
the
wasn't.
page. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that.
Just tell them to turn off because it's going to be delayed.
Okay, turn your audio if you want to on mute for a minute, girlies, and then we'll settle this up.
Okay. Oh, we're live.
Okay, before we start our first amazing Growing Good Women event, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Okay. I'll stop the screen from sharing. Stop share. Okay, welcome to my amazing panelists and for our first phenomenal Growing Good Women event. I can't even express to you how excited I am to be involved in this. I firstly want to thank Paul Bullpitt for allowing me to take the reins for the women's side. He's done a phenomenal job for Growing Good Men. And obviously during COVID, it's quite difficult for us to hold events, but I feel like this Facebook webinar is going to be phenomenal. So I would like to introduce our three wonderful panelists for this evening, the amazing Anna Willis, and also just really quickly, I'm not Paul Bullpitt, even though it does say that under there. I am Anna Wyatt, but because of our school Zoom account, it has come up as Paul Bullpitt. But over to my other side, the wonderful Anna Willis, who is our phenomenal guidance officer who is in charge of middle school. And she is an absolute Indian ray of sunshine in our lives at PBC. We really appreciate her support. Two amazing alumni that I also have the pleasure of introducing, the phenomenal Karla Gilbert down at the bottom there. Welcome, thank you so much. We can't wait to hear your story about how PBC, I suppose, shaped you into the amazing woman that you are today. And also Ashlee Thomas down below us as well, another phenomenal alumni who has had an amazing journey. And if you've had a chance to check out Ashlee's wonderful page, The Secret Burden, you'll know a little bit about where Ash has come from. So ladies, I just want to start by allowing you to introduce yourselves. So Anna, if you just want to give us a brief little rundown about who you are, why you wanted to be involved in this event.
Jingy Walla, so welcome to everyone out there. It's a real blessing and an honour to be part of this Growing Good Women event, and I'm very humbled, to be honest, to be asked to be part of the first event. For me, my passion really is about how can I love and serve all, and really I'm blessed that at PBC I get to action that day in, day out in my role as a guidance officer for the junior secondary students, so from 7 to 9. What I really would hope to support is that tonight we plant a seed in terms of a love revolution for assisting our teens to cultivate self-love, compassion and kindness towards themselves and others. I also want to empower our young people and inspire them to connect to be the best versions of themselves, and to know that we're just raising healthy, happy young people out there. So that's really what my mission about being part of this panel is all about. How can we help our young ones to thrive and grow, and also be supported by some really powerful women in our community who can really just support each other to raise each other up to be the best versions of ourselves. So I think it's very powerful. It's something that a lot of our Indigenous cultures do create, a sharing circle where young ones can come into the fold and can be part of the conversation with their elders and wise women. So I do feel blessed that we have that opportunity tonight to share our stories and hopefully to inspire and uplift our young people. So thank you.
I think as a parent, if I'm sure we'd have a lot of parents looking at your fabulous face tonight and knowing that they would feel really safe in the fact that there is a wonderful support system through you for the middle school students to engage in, and obviously can come and see you. So thanks for that, Anna. I'll pop to you now, Karla.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your backstory and why you were happy to be involved in Growing Good Women.
Oh, firstly, again, thank you very much for having me along. Like Anna said, there are probably thousands of other amazing women who could be filling this spot. So I too feel very humbled to be invited to the panel. And I think I'd like to start by explaining in my mind what growing good women means. This evening, I don't think we're trying to pigeonhole what's good and what's bad females or behaviours, but rather use it as an expression to summarize what coming together as a community means, like knowing you're not alone, sharing experiences and hearing real life stories, like in the quest for you to live your fullest life. And so regardless of your goals, if you understand who you are in your core and have the skills you need to navigate not only the physical but emotional journey of being a girl in today's often chaotic world, and make choices with an understanding that you have a purpose in this journey, then you're really starting off on the right foot. So, being a mother of two young girls aged between 9 and 12, I see the pressures. I see the expectations and the challenges that are certainly out there. But what we do with these is ultimately our choice, I think. And I think coming from competing professionally as an Iron woman and now helping clients in their journey to overcome unhelpful habits as a nutrition and health coach, it kind of throws me right in the thick of things. So I guess my role here tonight is to help share further insights to how I've navigated the world, but also to where I am now, but also share how I've also helped others. So I guess that's where my perspective's coming from.
Wonderful. It's going to be great, and especially to see your and hear your perspective as a mother as well, to have that hat on. You're such an amazing advocate for health and well-being being a whole holistic way of life, but you've also got that other side where you've got to think about, well, how am I supporting my daughters to armor them with the things that they need to be able to navigate through the world. So thanks for that.
Sure.
And lovely Ashlee, please tell us a little bit about your background and why you were so excited to be a part of Growing Good Women.
Where to start? My name is Ashlee, and I was an ex-PBC student, and while I was at PBC, I was diagnosed with Anorexia Nervosa, an eating disorder that really changed my life and my family's life for, unfortunately, a negative term. And I was a very anxious sort of person that sort of fell into the trap of an eating disorder. And my whole thing now is that I start the conversation about eating disorders and about anxiety and about body positivity, because I just saw a massive gap in my journey that I thought needed to be filled. And I really wanted to be part of this event, and I'm so grateful. So thank you. Because I know turning from a young girl into a woman was such a significant part of my life, and for a lot of females' lives, it's where everything changes, where new things pop in that challenge us. And I know how difficult it was for me, and my mission is always just been to help females through that period of transition, because we see it as something so negative that our bodies are changing, but it's something really beautiful, and we should be embracing that. And I was so happy to be involved when this is the mission of this conversation, because all we want to do is support young girls during this time, because it is such a big time in their lives. So yeah,
for sure. Before we go on to anything else, that the way you said that was just perfect, Ashlee. And both Anna and I were talking the other day about the differences in our culture and Anna, you spoke about how in the Indian culture as well, how everything is celebrated, and there's fabulous ceremonies about things, how the family is so excited when it's the first menstrual cycle, you know, of a girl. If you want to tell everyone just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've got the blessing of spending a portion of my year over in India. So at least 2 months every year I go over to India, and I really get an opportunity to connect with the culture over there and the people. And something that was very present for me is that they don't hide away anything. So everything's out in the open, including death, rites of passage. So going from a young woman to becoming a woman. So definitely that once you have your first menstrual cycle, it is something that is celebrated and acknowledged as part of the community. So it is like a first wedding celebration. So the whole village will come together, and that young woman will be dressed up almost extravagantly as if she was getting married, and she's adorned with flowers, and everyone comes out to acknowledge the fact that she's becoming a young woman and to really support and embrace her journey into womanhood. So it is beautiful to witness how different cultures really sort of celebrate and honour, rather than hide away and keep secrets around that transition from going to a young woman to a woman. So that is something that I'd really love to encourage, I guess, like our society and our community, that when you do have those experiences in your own home, that's celebrated in some form. So, yeah, I think that that's something important for us to acknowledge.
Definitely. And I think it's the same thing as you've said as well, Ash. It's all about, you know, opening up those lines of communication too, because why is it that we're not celebrating these types of things? Why is it that we, you know, are finding that some young women don't actually feel that they can talk to their families about all of these struggles and things that we're going through? Because sometimes it is seen as a bit of a taboo subject. So, I mean, our main focus tonight is, you know, starting conversations that count, but we are all about our main kind of subtopic is loving yourself, and how can we make sure that as young women are growing up, they feel like they can love themselves. And through those changes of puberty, when everything is so chaotic and your body is changing and there's nothing you can do about it, what can we do to try and armor our young women and to give them this skill set, I suppose, to navigate through the hormonal changes and the physical changes? I think that will be the great thing. So thanks for sharing that stuff as well from your journey too, Anna. I would absolutely love to spend 2 months of my year over in India. That's phenomenal, Ashra.
And I think when you sort of are in the fold of experiencing an event like that, where you do have a young woman who is literally sitting on a throne with everyone in that community coming and giving gifts and sharing cake and, you know, adorning her with flowers, it is something that's really special, because they really are honouring the essence of becoming a woman, and they do really value that transition into womanhood. And I do think that that's something that we could do better in our community, and I do think that we are starting to plant that seed as well.
Definitely.
I'd love to have a party every time my period came around.
That would be amazing.
Just not sure if I'd be in the party mood though.
No.
Especially not if everyone's all in sync together. That. All right. So I feel like I should start off with you, beautiful Ash. I've been so fortunate in my role as a teacher at PBC. I get to teach one of the most phenomenal subjects, health. And we have been so blessed that you are so open and honest and so humble to be able to share your journey with us at school. So I know a lot of your backstory, and I know that what you're going to share this evening is going to be phenomenal. So for those of you who don't know who Ashlee is and haven't had a chance to click on The Secret Burden, that is her Facebook page that was previously run by her mum and dad, and Ash has now taken over just recently. But I feel like it would be wonderful to hear about how you have turned into this amazing warrior, because that's how I see you now, Ash. You are an anorexia survivor, and part of your journey now is to advocate for young women and to help support them. So let's delve a little bit deeper and try and show some of those little demons that popped up, and where your story kind of goes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for all those amazing things. I do see myself as a warrior now. It took a while though. I was diagnosed when I was about 13 years old. So I was sort of straight into high school, and I was one of those, I think my story really starts before I was diagnosed though. I was in primary school. Unfortunately, I was quite severely bullied, and it was a period of time where I started to build anxiety and fears and self-doubt. And one of the big moments for me was when I found my voice to go up and tell someone at the school that I was being bullied. And for me, that was a really courageous thing, to be able to go and admit that, something's not right and I don't want to feel like this way anymore. And unfortunately, during that moment, I was told that I was lying. And that shook me for the rest of my life. Still today, it's something that I still have to deal with, that I found my voice and it was shut down completely. And I silenced my voice for such a long period of time because I thought that no one wanted to hear it, that I was a liar. At 9 years old, when you're told that you're lying and that this bullying isn't happening, it just really affected me. And so that's been my mission all along, once I found my voice, to really show people that as women, we deserve to be heard, and that we all have voices. Once we find them, we need to use them. We don't listen to people that want to silence us. We need to get out there and use it because we deserve to. And so when I was 9, that was massive part of my life, and I built a lot of anxiety, and then I was also transitioning into high school where my body was changing. Social media was introduced, which is a whole different influence on body image. And then I was the type of personality, I was shy. I was the person in the classroom that no one really remembered their name, and it really affected me that I was no one to anyone, that I was this person that just existed, but no one really knew who I was. And we really forget that shy person that sits in the back of the classroom. We forget the things that they go through. We sort of put our focus on the people that are really out there and bubbly, but the people that are scared to put their hands up in the classroom, they're the ones that sometimes are struggling the most. And for me, that was me. I was that kid in the back of the classroom. And I grew up as well in a family that we were a very sporty family. We rugby league, netball I was really into, and I had a personality that was just, I'm a perfectionist. Everything's got to be to this 110% standard. And when it wasn't, I was not enough and I needed to do more. And in this household where we're such a strong family, or independently, there was no real room for feelings and to show weakness. We wanted to be strong and be this figure that represented someone that was really powerful. And even like my parents never told me don't talk about your feelings, but it was this subconscious belief that you don't talk about that because that's weakness. And so I strived along, and my parents were dealing with, my older brother had issues, my younger brother had issues, and I didn't want to be the burden. I felt like they had so much already on their plate, so I could deal with this myself. I was feeling isolated at school. I felt like I had no friends. I was getting bullied. So I thought, you know what, they've got so much on their plate, I can deal with this myself. Obviously it didn't work, and I turned into ways to control the things that I could control. And one thing I could control was the food that was going in and the amount of calories I was burning. So it ended up, I would over exercise. 2 times a day of netball turned into 6 times a day when I was home, and continually training and eating hardly anything because I still wasn't enough. And then social media influxed my brain every night, telling me that I still wasn't enough. And I think really as a young person, we watch rom-coms that tell us that our relationship status isn't enough. We watch social media that tells us that our lives need to be better than what they are, and we can constantly compare ourselves to everyone else around us, and it really affected me. And then I was diagnosed at 13 with anorexia after I broke down to my mum, and that was really, once I was diagnosed, it was just, I would say, the hardest time of my family and myself's lives, because it was 22 weeks at home before I was actually admitted into hospital, and I was losing about 1 to 2 kilos a week. And it was at the stage where my family was actually force feeding me because I wasn't eating. And it's stuff that still brings up such raw memories, because things that you shouldn't do to your children, my parents were doing to me just to get me to eat, because I was dying in front of their eyes. And as a parent, you just want to see your child survive. And I didn't want to live. I had this demon inside of me that wanted to kill me. And it was really troubling time, not just for my mum, who took the reins of everything, but my dad, that played a role, and my brothers. And then I was admitted after 22 weeks into Lady Salento Hospital in Brisbane, where I went through recovery there for 9 weeks. And I was fed through the nose or gastric tube. And that is another experience that I don't wish upon anyone, because I was sedated every single day and just fed food through my nose. And it's not a quality of life for someone at 14 years old. But it really did shape my life, because it was my first stage to recovery. And coming out of hospital, it was no cure, but it was now I knew where I wanted to go. Instead of wanting to die and end up miserable and back into the thoughts of suicide, I turned that around to go, you know what? I have a chance here to really change things around. And I knew when I was going through this, I had no one to look to for support. I just had my family, and I want to be that person that I needed when I was going through my eating disorder. I just needed someone to know that there was hope, that someone could be a fighter of this illness instead of all this negativity. I wanted to show people that you can survive anorexia nervosa, and that it's not a taboo subject. I mean, eating disorders are a mental illness, and it's okay to say that. And I know, because I was so ashamed to tell people that I was anorexic, or known to people as the anorexic chick. But I now know that that's something to be proud of, because I mean, look at the person I am today because of it. And I think a lot of people always ask me, I think, like, what was the turning point? Like, why did you decide to want to recover, and how did you fix that relationship with your body? And I think people are always looking for an overcomplicated answer, or something that's going to be a quick fix, and it's just not reality. I mean, I'm 7 years still into my recovery, and I only recently got my periods back. And also that the feelings of, you know, body acceptance, they come with time, and you have to be willing to really work on that. And for me, once I realized that I was overcomplicating it so much, and that it was really so simple, it really changed my perspective. Because we always think that we have to have money to be the best, or we have to be a certain size to be noticed. And yet the simplest things is we just have to realize what we already have. We don't really need what everyone else has, but we're so focused on what everyone else has that we forget what's right in front of us. Definitely. And that's where I think being grateful is so key to all of this, to really realize that what we have is actually amazing. We just have to realize that we've got it, instead of thinking about what we don't have. And that's where I think people overcomplicate it, because they think, well, I need this to be happy, I need this magic pill, when really it's just that simple. Just look at what's in front of you.
And I know you're such an advocate for, you know, gratitude journaling and, you know, affirmations about being really grateful for what you have. And we're so fortunate that this term at school, our care program is all about gratitude, empathy, mindfulness, and being really present. And we'll talk a little bit about social media and the impact that had. But what do you kind of do to set your day up in a really positive way, Ash?
Yeah, well, I always really struggled at the start with meditation. I found that I couldn't focus. My mind was everywhere. So I scrapped that for a bit, but now I'm back doing it. But the simple things like lying on my back and just doing, I call them 10 belly breaths. Simple things where I'm just focusing on my breath. And it's not something where I have to sit down like meditation for 10 minutes, which can be very difficult for some people, which it was for me at the start. Just do 10 belly breaths. And I've talked about this a lot, but I never used to be able to talk about my feelings. It was something that it was too scary. I didn't want to be that vulnerable to other people. And so I turned to journal writing. It was something that really resonated with me because I could express what I was feeling without telling anyone, but it was my way of communicating it and releasing that energy and feelings out into the universe without actually dealing with someone questioning what I'm thinking. So that really helped me for a long time. And as I said, the simplicity of just being grateful is I realized how much I was judging my body without understanding what it actually does for me. And we always say don't judge a book by its cover, and we're always talking about other people, but the amount of times that we judge ourselves before actually understanding what our body does for us. And that's where I changed my focus. I was so motivated in learning about all the diet fads and how to get the best butt in 10 minutes or how to whatever,
Could you tell me what it is?
Yeah.
I did all those little quick workouts and nutrition tips, and I was so motivated and educated myself on all the crap, really. Yeah. And then I switched that to actually learning a lot about my digestive system, about my body's cells, about like the woman's hormones. And I've had this new appreciation for my body that it actually needs energy and fuel internally instead of focusing on the exterior, which we focus on so much. And it's like our body actually does so much for us.
That's
and
right.
yet we don't give it
ourselves. Why can't we love ourselves for the fact that we can eat food and digest it, and our brain functions and our blood pumps through our body, and all those simple biological things.
Yeah. And it's hard because we're not fed that. We're not, we're constantly fed on the news, on social media, wherever we look, or conversations at work, that we're still not enough, that, oh, I tried this diet, or I did this exercise. And it's like, well, hang on, people think you're weird if you're like, well, why don't you just appreciate your body and just love that cells are moving in your body? People go, what are you talking about?
And I love that you also bring up a lot of the times as well about how kind of warped it is that we congratulate ourselves for losing weight. And I remember you saying that in the beginning, how people noticed when you'd started on your journey, obviously not what it was about, but they'd congratulate you and say, Ash, wow, geez, you're dropping weight. You look awesome. Why is it that there was such, a positive focus on, obviously they didn't realize the extremities and how your brain was kind of.
And I guess like with social media, we're told that losing weight is good. And especially in Australia, when I was attending school, obesity was a big factor of, Australia is an obese nation. So we're fed this subconscious ideal that weight and putting on weight is bad and losing weight is good. And a young person takes those messages to extremes either way. And that's where I did, because I saw obesity is really, really bad. I didn't want to be fat, didn't want to put on weight. Nobody will like me. I won't be able to fulfill my dreams. You start overthinking it. And then so you go, well, losing weight must be the only option, must be good. And for me, when I reached the certain weight that would be ideal, it still wasn't enough. I still wasn't getting noticed at school. I still wasn't getting the likes on Instagram. So I kept going until unfortunately my health became severely at risk.
Definitely. And the great thing is as well, ladies and gentlemen watching at home, if you haven't already, you can have a look on our earlier posts and you'll be able to see the link for The Secret Burn, and you'll be able to see Ashlee's 60 minutes interview, and it goes into the journey that you and your family went through. But I think it is phenomenal for you to be so open about it all, Ash, and to allow yourself to be so raw, and your family as well, because what it does is it then starts that conversation for someone else.
Yeah.
And hopefully it can be someone else to turn around and go, you know what, that could be my friend. That could be those things that my friend is doing, or that could be, oh, such and such's daughter might be doing something like that. That sounds similar to Ash's story. So thank you for being so brave. And exactly as you said, it is such a taboo subject. I don't know why. You know, anything, when you say mental health, people shy away from it. And I've been so fortunate, you know, in the health aspects, that I've met some phenomenal people. And there's a beautiful person called Maria Roberto, who I absolutely adore. And she spins it around and says, we need to think about it as mental fitness. How can we change it up, get away from mental health and turn it into mental fitness? If we're okay with people working out, then why aren't we working out our brains? Why isn't that, you know, our key focus? So we'll come back to more, Ash, but thank you so much. But Karla, you little perfect 10 out of 10 star. Your life seems like it's just amazing. You're this glamour woman who traveling the world as an Iron Woman with Uncle Toby's. And I remember watching you on the TV and thinking, I want to be like Karla Gilbert. And now you're a phenomenal mother. You're a stand-up paddleboard superstar, travels around the world. You've got 2 beautiful children. Your life's been a dream, hasn't it?
Yes. Well, it may appear that way, but I mean, there has been a lot of hard work in between, and I mean from a very early age. So, you know, I can remember even when I was at school, you know, I'd wake up in the morning, have all my gear packed. You know, my mum would drive myself and my brother off for swing training, and we were in New South Wales, so we'd have to wake up an hour earlier. We'd be having breakfast at the pool, straight to school. Then after school, we'd be, you know, doing running training with the school, and then my mum would pick me up again. And then I was off to board training again. So, I mean, all of that I can remember only doing that from the year, you know, 10 years of age. So it's not like it's just happened overnight and everything fell in my lap. Like I really did work for everything that I've got. And yeah, I pinch myself each day because I'm lucky enough now to do what I love. But, you know, I was thrusted into the limelight at a very young age too. You know, I won my first professional Ironwoman race at the age of 15, actually, when I was in grade 10 at PBC. And it was really from that age that I somewhat became a bit of a public commodity. You know, I was doing photo shoots for Reebok, Ray-Ban, you know, doing Wella hair products. I was doing C-Folly photo shoots, you know, all these, going to live TV shows, all, like, I was just getting torn in so many ways. So I really had to grow up and live in an adult world from a young age during my teens. And I think in a way this forced me to be very retrospective, but I also learned to grow a thick skin at the same time. So not to listen to everyone who had an opinion about me, and not to leave myself vulnerable to those that may.
You had a lot of friends who were really jealous, and a lot of people who, I don't understand why we can't celebrate each other's success.
Yes.
We want to tear each other down, and the jealousy of obviously them looking and going, oh, well, how's Karla got all this? And that would have been so difficult as a 15-year-old.
It was a lot. It was a lot on my shoulders. You know, I had to learn to stand up for myself and say no when it was needed. But at the same time, like, it also taught me to set boundaries for myself, you know, and to try and be in that growth mindset. You know, I made mistakes. Let's get things straight here. You know, I'm not perfect, and I don't ever want to make out that I am. But I think what differentiates things when we are growing up, it's how often we repeat the mistake. You know, if you learnt from it, or did you avoid the self-responsibility and allow for it to happen again? And I kind of did lead a bit of a double life at school. And I must mention, like Ash, I was a very shy and private person. Sometimes actually being referred to as being aloof to those that didn't really know me properly or understand me. And I think when I was at school, in a way, I didn't have the time or care to be involved in dramas. You know, I was there to learn. And when I wasn't at school, I was chasing my goals, and sport gave me that purpose and a healthy social group of friends with shared visions and goals driven by whatever sport they were doing. And even though this sounds great, that can also bring its own dramas. And I know when you don't feel like you fit in at times because you may be segregating yourself, it can make things difficult. So I guess my story is also coming from this angle, because I know, speaking to a lot of teens and that sort of thing, like that are involved in sport, and they have such a passion for what they're doing. In a way, they do feel segregated because, they're not going to the latest parties and they're not getting drunk every weekend, and they're not doing those sorts of things because, in a way, it's abnormal to be driven, when you're in your teens, it's sort of like, what's wrong with you kind of thing. So, I'm just sort of here also to sort of share that story, that it's okay to be like that, and I think...
And I think as a parent as well, it kind of turns around and makes you realise that to reduce those risk-taking behaviours, it actually is really, really important to be involved in team sports and to have that kind of second family and that community that's there to support you, to say, you know what, you actually don't have to go and get drunk every weekend, and you don't have to be, doing all these other risk-taking behaviours, that it's okay, like you said, to have a goal and to be supported and to be celebrated.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And being involved in sport has so many positives. I can't think of one negative that comes with that, from people there helping you be accountable to turning up to, just fulfilling and leading that, and people around you modeling a healthy lifestyle as well. When I was involved, when I first began my sport, I was involved in its infancy. So everything was a little bit unknown, but I didn't have any other females to guide me as such, but always had a strong interest, I guess, in the mind and how it works and how it can help you get the best out of yourself. And sport also taught me the importance of time management, perseverance, persistence, sacrificing, all those sorts of things.
Making yourself really resilient by dealing with a lot of those issues.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't work out fabulously, and you've got to pick
that's
yourself
right.
up.
You do. It's all about how quickly you can pick yourself up, not stay in that rut. I went to parties, but, I'd be there ringing my mum, at midnight to come and get me. I never had that pressure, or desire to drink. And I think that comes from a contentment with the direction in what your life's going, and something I was actually able to pinpoint early in my career.
Yeah. And that's the wonderful thing, I think, as well, that you didn't feel that you needed that outlet that so many young people do, and maybe that is to mask all of these things that we're going through, and they think, I need to go and get drunk with all of my friends at 14 and 15 and reduce all these inhibitions. But we all know now, and the troubles with social media and having access to phones all the time, what kind of problem that then causes for a lot of our young people as well. So I think for you as well, Anna, you see all of these young people coming to see you, because I think one of the key things is it's really a cry for help. It's them realizing that maybe the choices that they're making aren't all that phenomenal, and that they need some kind of way to find that bit of support. So what do you kind of think?
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of that risk-taking behaviour with our teens is, developing some unhealthy coping skills just to numb the emotions and not to feel the thoughts. And something that Ash said in her story, which really resonates, is that whole happiness trap of that whole idea that when I do this, once I achieve this, then I'll be happy. And really what we do at PBC with our care classes, we flip that on its head and we say, actually, no, gratitude is the happiness doorway, because it's really about being content, accepting what is, feeling a sense of fulfillment, and being grateful for what you do have. And I think that's the big thing that we need to focus on, is letting go of some of that unhealthy thinking or thought patterns and learning more healthy coping strategies. And that's something that we'll definitely allude to later in our session. But there are a lot of young people who are very vulnerable and very sensitive, particularly coming out of COVID-19 as well. And anyone who does have any underlying mental health, that they're dealing with, such as anxiety, stress, depression, which can lead to a whole range of behaviours such as, suicide ideation, self-harm, and really eating disorders is a form of self-harm. A lot of our young people who do have that underlying stress it's almost been magnified by COVID-19 at the moment. So a lot of our young people are feeling quite vulnerable with the transition and adjustment of coming back to school. So yeah, that's sort of what we do every day. It's an unknown. I sort of turn up and I could have a range of, people walking my way, from mental health to body image to friendship issues to someone who's exploring, their sexual orientation and gender identity to, a really vulnerable student who's been exposed to trauma or neglect or abuse, or a kid who's suffering from a range of medical conditions such as ADHD or ASD and needing support within the classroom, or a lot of people who are just grieving some significant loss in their family. Parents might be separating, or how they belong within a blended family. So there's so much going on for our young people, and everyone has a story. And I think really the message we're sort of sharing is, how can you start to know thyself and also be comfortable within your own skin, and get the support if you need it.
Yeah. And I'll come back to you, Karla, because I think that your whole background and where you've come from, you're in a really unique situation now where you can obviously in hindsight look back and think, these are the attributes that I think helped me to be where you are today. What are the kind of things that you're thinking as a mother? What kind of attributes are you trying to, instill in your two daughters growing up?
Yeah, sure. I think being authentic is one constant that you can control in your world. So giving more importance to what you think than what others think as well. It's sort of like putting that your blinkers on kind of mentality, like just knowing what you are doing is right for you. And that's a biggie. That's where the magic lies in my eyes. Deep down, if people are bullies, gossipers, say nasty things, they know within themselves that they are wrong. So it's not up to us. I think that, things do catch up with these people. And also having the understanding that we can't control others as well. Like we can only control our own actions. And that helps bring things back into perspective. Give value to yourself instead, and consistently work on becoming the best version of yourself at every moment. The things I focus on, and mum with my girls, is to turn to the little things you can do right each day. Make your bed, keep your room tidy, have a healthy breakfast, make time for exercise, stay the observer of your thoughts. It's the daily practices of the little things, I think, that brings out positive and worthwhile results. So, if we're looking for shortcuts in our daily tasks, that this is often presented as a behavioural trait we repeat in other parts of our lives. So I think just with my girls is just teaching them just to do the little things right, and that leads to the bigger things. That leads to the bigger things, that leads to, oh, well, I'm saving money. Oh, well, I can buy a car down the track, I'm not going to eat that chocolate cake for the third day in a row because, I know that I can nourish myself in better ways. Or, I'm going to go and nourish myself and gift myself with exercise because I know that that's going to lead to healthier patterns and habits down the track, all those sorts of things. So it's all about just looking at the little things and trying to remain, I think, having that introspective look from the outside and just going, well, why am I, just questioning some things that just may be doing, and that's what I do with my girls as well. I question them. So they have a little think about it. Well, why are you doing that? And can you see, how this is really giving you energy? This food's giving you energy. Or, can you see that app that you're on may be actually becoming a little bit, overwhelming for you, and, you may be getting a little addicted to it. Just having that third eye view of things around, of what's happening.
Definitely. And you'd probably notice in your girls as well, the changes in behaviour would obviously come up when they're not sticking to those, I suppose, basic little routines, and when they're testing those boundaries of, okay, I'm not going to have 8 hours sleep tonight. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to be on social media until 11 o'clock at night. And we need to make sure that we're setting up these daily habits that ensure that, you'll come back to sleep again and again and again as being the thing that everyone needs. I know I need sleep. I need to get at least 7, normally 8 hours sleep. And if I don't, it sets me up in a completely different way for how I'm going to spend my day in the classroom, but also how I'm going to wake up in the day and see my husband and deal with my 2 young children as well. And I think with young people getting stuck in those traps of being on social media for way too many hours, and especially 2 or 3 hours before sleep, then going to bed at maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and then waking up having a disturbed sleep. I think for you as an athlete, Karla, as a young person, you desperately needed your sleep because you were probably exhausted from all the training.
Exactly. And that's why my kids are good sleepers now. Nope, you're back to your own bed. Nope, you're back to your own bed. I need my sleep.
Definitely. And it does. It comes back to those simple things. And if you don't have those precious hours of sleep, I know myself, I go for foods that make me feel not that great. And I love the way that you talk about foods as being nourishment. I talk even in my classes about keeping it simple. Think about it for fuel for your car. You put diesel fuel in an unleaded car, it's not going to run. If you put poor choices of food in your body, it's not going to run well. Not talking about don't eat carbs and don't eat this. No. It's about supporting a holistic way of living and how your body kind of reacts to stuff.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Hey, Ash, I wanted to also put you in the spotlight and think about, you can look back on your journey as a 13 and 14-year-old in that turmoil. What is it that you would have loved your friends to have done? Because I feel like you really did try and reach out for help in some of the conversations that we've had, and that the young people who were your friends at that time maybe just didn't know how to deal with that situation. What kind of advice do you think you would give someone now?
I think it's really a hard situation because with an eating disorder, not many people can signify the symptoms because so many people are absorbed in the diet culture, and it's almost like our new norm that, you know, someone's trying a diet, and even at a young age, the amount of people that I talk to that are on a diet, and all because they don't like the way that they look. And I was just absolutely outraged that this was happening, that I wasn't the only one going through this. And I think for me, my friends came up and talked to my mum a couple of times after, you know, I was diagnosed, saying that, oh yeah, we saw Ash chuck out her lunch, or we saw Ash doing extras during lunchtime. And I think the lack of people just aren't educated really. And it's hard when it's a taboo subject. People don't want to talk about things like that. I remember when I was, you know, starting to go back out and meet with my friends again, they were like, so how is it? Like, how's it all going? And I'm like, you mean anorexia? Like, how's my eating disorder? People were so like hesitant, and I understand the sensitivity, but it's an illness. It's like cancer. You talk about it. You want to talk about it in an open space to educate people, to make people aware. Just because mine don't show physical symptoms doesn't mean that I'm not suffering or that I didn't go through something terrible. And I think that would have helped that if a young person realizes that their friend or someone that they know, one of their peers, is chucking their lunch out or is doing extras, or if it's your best friend and you know that behaviors have changed rapidly, then you go seek support at the school. I mean, this is someone's life. And even though I would have hated it, because at the time I had anorexia in me, and I would have hated someone, but at the end of the day, I don't think someone would go and tell that, this person said this. If you're generally concerned and care about your peers and your friends, then go and tell someone. You don't have to go straight to the parent, because I know sometimes parents are very busy, and some parents don't all react in the same way. So I believe that going to the school counsellor or going to someone that you trust and having a conversation with them, I've been seeing this. Is this normal? What should I do? Go seek help from professionals, because taking things into your own hands at a 13, 14-year-old child it's not right, because then you'll also have a burden on yourself. That, like my friends, feel like, well, I could have done something and I didn't. and you don't want to live with that as well.
No, but they're just not armed with the same kind of health literacy at that age either, are they?
No.
They're dealing with their own kind of struggles, and they're thinking, maybe Ashlee wants to lose weight so she feels better about herself. That's okay, because I want to as well, because that's that trap that we kind of get stuck in.
And that's, I think, my message to people is that losing weight at 13, 14, when your body is changing, is not okay. I mean, our female bodies are developing, and we shouldn't be worrying about calories and carbs and these messages that tell us that food that's going in is bad. We should just be loving our life, going out with our friends, going to the movies, going for walks on the beach. Like, we shouldn't be worrying about food that's going in and calories that are coming out. Like, that's not what we were created to think about, yet we've just got these messages that keep pushing to us that we should be thinking about that, and we're not at that age.
Definitely not. And I feel like for you, Karla, that would be something maybe some parents really struggle with, the simplicity of understanding about nourishment of food and realizing the types of food that adolescents do need to help them feel good, you know, to keep everything regular, to make sure that they are having proper bowel movements every day. I mean, as simple as that, and making sure that the foods that they're eating come from a variety of groups, so that they're not focusing on, okay, I'm not gonna eat any carbs. I'm not sure where everyone got so hateful against carbs.
It's a marketing thing, for sure. Marketing.
You know what? There's carbs in everything, from a grape to a piece of bread to sweet potato. Food is carbs, you know what I mean? But people, I think when people say carbs, they think bread, potatoes, pasta, you know, those sorts of things. So unfortunately, everyone's just grouped carbs into one thing, where if you eat some lettuce, that's a carb. You know, there's some form of carbohydrate in it. So you can see, you know, like, where just the whole thinking of society's gone wrong. You know, it's just so warped, and you know, it used to be all about not eating fat, and then it was all about not eating sugar, and you know, so it just cycles around. But I think if you can just focus on eating whole foods, you know, they're as close to nature as possible. They're reduced in sugar, are not processed, you know, are not full of saturated fats. It's, you know, it's scoping the perimeter of shopping, your shopping supermarket, you know, like, all keeping really things. You just have to strip things and bring them back to basics. Don't count micros and macros and all these sorts of crazy things. Just looking at your plate, I can see a rainbow of colors. You know, it's made up of at least 70% salad or veggies. You know, then you have your protein, and then you have some form of carbohydrate on the side of that as well. So it's all about just trying to keep things simple, because so many people that come to me with coaching that are just so confused, like they have just hit rock bottom. They are so confused. They don't know what to do. They've tried every diet, nothing's worked. But in the end, they're actually their own worst enemy, you know, because they have just made things so hard for themselves that they've lost that ability to have trust in themselves, that they have the power to be able to lose the weight themselves.
I think
they're overweight.
Yeah, what I really learned as well is that diet, I don't think, is the answer, because it's not sustainable. Normally diet's a restriction or a limitation on a food group, and really our body needs all the different types of food groups. And as you said, Karla, I really think it is, listen to your body, ask what it wants, and after you eat something, see how it makes you feel. If you feel good, eat more of it. But it's also about, like, that sustainability when you're eating food. So if you eat things that give you short spurts of energy, maybe it's not the best for you. Like, it's about experimenting. I mean, we've got time to experiment and try things that we like and we don't like, and it's fun. It shouldn't be such a confusing and overwhelming experience eating. Yes.
Don't have it every day.
Moderation.
We get so hung up on eliminating something from our diet, whereas I am all about satisfaction. Have I finished a meal and I feel satisfied? You know, and I crazily enough have a teacher at school who has a cheeseburger that is about 7 or 8 years old from McDonald's, and it still looks like a cheeseburger. And I talk to the kids about, what would that do to your insides? Thinking about, is that a nourishing food? Exactly like you've said, Karla. Is it something that looks as close to nature? Well, if you eat those foods all the time, how's your tummy going to
Yeah.
You know, by gauging that, how do you feel? Do you sleep well? Do you wake up in the morning feeling great? Is your body ready for a day of, you know, exercise or just going for a walk on the beach, or do you feel
Yes.
sluggish? And we need to go back to basics.
We do. Yep.
Even people understanding how to cook meals from scratch. We've gone away
Absolutely.
from
Yeah.
in our lifestyles that people aren't appreciating how simple a home cooked meal actually can be and how great it can make you feel.
But I
Yeah.
think in saying that as well, that if you feel like a McDonald's cheeseburger, don't restrict yourself and ignore those feelings, because then you're going to live with that guilt.
There's no guilt in the household.
No guilt. No.
Yeah. Like if you feel
No
like,
guilt.
don't shut it down and going, I'm never going to eat that, because it's only going to make you want it more.
That's
So
right.
I think it's about balance. I mean, if you feel like having a bit of like ice cream or chocolate cake or a birthday cake or going for Macca's for dinner, like it's just saying that don't have it like every single day, every single week. It's just about balance. Yet they don't sell you that because it doesn't make the money.
No. Sometimes cream on a Friday. Everyone's really okay.
I think too.
No, visit the PE staff room on a Friday.
Oh gosh.
They're good.
I mean, I can't cross the border.
Oh, we're done with living so close with that New South Queensland border. It is. Oh,
Tell me about it.
we're finished. We're finished.
Yeah.
Karla, I want to come
Yeah.
back to you briefly as well. So, for you in high school, you obviously had, I suppose, a fork in the road where you could turn around and take your sport to the next level, or you, I suppose, could have gone in a completely different direction. You could have, you know, jumped on the bandwagon of risk-taking behaviours and doing all that other stuff. Who kind of was that support person, and how did they play a role for you at school?
I guess.
Or maybe outside of school as well.
Well, it was my parents. First and foremost, you know, it was my parents, and they were very hard-working and grounded people. Yes, harsh critics at times. they were all harsh, yes, but they were there, obviously there to support me. You know, drive me to training, making sure that there was healthy meals on the table, giving up so much of their time to support my dreams. And I think that, you know, they also taught me that we create our own luck through hard work. So this has been modelled throughout my youth, and I think too, what gave me a great head start was the modelling that they did as parents. You know, I see so much through coaching, through my health coaching that I do with disordered eating and those sorts of things, and it all begins at such a young age, you know, and it's quite often modelled through parents. I'm going off a little bit tangent here, but it's all modelled off parents, you know, when they're having that dieting talk, or, you know, they might be drinking after a hard day work, or, you know, all the kids are such a sponge when they're young. So, you know, I think I really had a great foot in the door because my parents, they were really involved in sport. You know, they were always fit and active and healthy. You know, I've never hardly really seen my parents drink. You know, there wasn't those coping mechanisms that other people might rely on. So I guess for me, that was seen as my norm. I didn't have to battle against finding out, you know, oh, that's good and that's bad and those sorts of things. And then there was also my coaches, from the great Rod Patterson from PBC, who was my track coach, and together we won, you know, quite a few 1,500 metre and 3,000 state titles. And then there was Ronnie Gordon. I don't know if you know Ronnie Gordon.
Before my time.
Yeah, he helped me with my cross country running as well. I won a few state titles there. And later in life too, my coach Pat O'Keefe, who took all of what I did when I was younger to the next level in regards to my professional Ironwoman racing. And you know, he struggled with his own demons, you know, and unfortunately he died of alcoholism about 3 years ago. So, you know, he was like my second father to me. You know, he was always there to pick me up when the chips were down, and he could really talk to me and set my head straight. And give it to me straight, or give me the tools to help work on my mental strategies. And I think what Pat passed on to me, it was never, what do they say? Not don't do what I do. It was always do what I say. But, he taught me the strength of what the mind can have, and when it comes down to standing on a line for any kind of sporting event, the 90% of the competitors there are probably all as fit as each other, but it all comes down to the state of the mind, who's going to win. So that has always been a massive part in everything that I do, is just having the mental strength around things, I guess. So yeah, there's been a big team around me, even from having great friends and those sorts of things. And I think too, you have to develop an environment, where it's going to be supportive with your goals as well. I think you end up pruning away the people that aren't sort of helping you in any way, and understanding there might be some toxic people here, there, you know what I mean? Like they have their own agendas. So I think, just surrounding yourself with people that are really helpful in that way, and you're helping them with their own things as well, is a big part of it.
That brings it on to a really great point as well, Karla, how you were talking about toxic people and also those friendships. I know for you, Ash, that you personally don't have a Facebook and an Instagram account. You have the Secret Burden, that is your brand and the way you are helping to support people who are dealing with anorexia, both that person and the family. You completely shut all social media down, didn't you?
Yeah, when I was diagnosed, we found out that was a massive trigger for me. It was something that it was such a different world, social media. It wasn't reality. It was a fantasy that it really triggered me, because it was something that I really wanted. So I worked really hard to try and reach something that was unachievable. And I was following these people that had likes and had followers, yet had no accreditation, but they were telling me what I should look like, what I should buy at the shops. And it just wasn't a healthy environment for me. And it warped me into massive jealousy emotions. So yeah, I got rid of it. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. It was really, really good. And then obviously the last year I've taken over the blog that my mum started at The Secret Burden on Facebook. And then on my Instagram, I had my old Instagram account, which is just Ashlee Thomas. And I decided to regain that, but take it on as The Secret Burden, where I just share my message. I post and I get out of there, because I know I'm stronger now to be able to cope with the pressures of social media. But when I think about it, do I really want to spend my day on social media when I've got an amazing life beyond my screen? I mean, and I realize, like, people are always saying, like, how can we change the culture on social media? Like, it's such a negative environment, yet we're all on it. And the thing is that, as Karla said, we can't change what other people decide to do, and we can't change the culture that's already existent, but we can change how we want to be a part of it. And for me, I don't want to be a part of that culture. I want to share my message. I want to share my voice now that I've found it. So I do that, and I erase myself from all the negativity that does go on. And that's me playing my part in changing the culture, because I'm erasing myself from it. And I really think that's an effective way to help change the culture, is changing it, what it does in your life.
Definitely, because that completely changes who you are, and it's that ripple effect. If you're a happy person who is obviously seeing really positive stuff in their feed or whatever they're doing, then that's great. But unfortunately for a lot of young people, and that what you would see all the time, Anna, is there is a lot of negativity and there is a lot of toxic stuff. Spending 2 or 3, hopefully not 4 hours, just rolling through each account. What kind of issues do you kind of find that you see a lot of kids are coming to you in regards to social media?
Yeah, well, similar to Ash, I also don't really connect with technology that much. Like, this is the first for me doing a Zoom webinar, and I think I check Facebook once a year when it's my birthday, just to connect with friends and family. And I think I actually look at my phone maybe once, twice, 3, 4 times a week. So for me, I choose to live in the real world. The virtual world is not for me, and I think it is about exposure, and I want to take control of making sure that my exposure to my life and world is very positive, uplifting, and I don't want any toxicity to come near me. So one way that I can control that ultimately is to really be aware of use of technology, and I'm not someone out there posting on Instagram.
Right. I want to know what you had for dinner, Anna.
I know.
What did you have for dessert?
I know.
Run
It's a
this
real.
morning, isn't that on your account?
It blows my mind that, people can spend hours trying to get that perfect snapshot. And that's definitely not how I spend my life. I would rather be out connecting with nature and being active, living a healthy life, and actually physically connecting with people face to face. So yeah, it's very hard for me to sort of probably relate to our young people who do absorb themselves in the virtual world, because that's not the world that I'm sort of grounded and centered in. What we do see is, like you say, there is a lot of that exposure, particularly with our boys. I don't want to be gender-based, but particularly with gaming. So we do have like a lot of our students who are spending the majority of their week evenings gaming. And I think like with our girls spending a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook and some of those social connection sites. Obviously there's good and bad with everything, but what I do notice is I don't think that they're aware of the impact that that has on their mental health. And what I see is kids who all of a sudden are really numb and disconnected from themselves and other people, and really report a sense of like, I've just lost my zest for life. I actually don't care anymore. I don't care about myself. I don't care about what's happening around me. And it's almost like desensitizing them to actually being connected with their heart, and they're just in this space of just really numbing themselves. And they use technology as a form of numbment and as a form of distraction from actually what they're probably thinking and feeling and connecting to other people. So it is a big concern. It is a big issue. And I do think, like you say, what I'm worried about is that people sort of develop their own self-image based on what they're viewing 24/7. And so for me, I'd rather connect with myself than connect in a world with a bunch of strangers who are telling me what I should be doing or how I should be feeling about myself. So,
and I know we've spoken about it a few times at school, how we see a lot of the students then turn around and start emulating all these celebrities and people that they're following and thinking that that's the way they should be living their life. And they're 12 and 13-year-old girls who are looking up to women in their mid-20s or early 30s. And
it's so scary as well, like young girls who are trying to be adultified, like how young girls are trying to like almost emulate like these sex symbols, these sex objects, like what's desirable, what's beautiful, like it's all external. And it's really until you turn the lens upon yourself and you really look at what's going on inside yourself, and that's where the gold is, and that's like what defines you as a woman and what beauty is. And it really is moving away from that lack and deficiency model to wholeness, feeling resolved, feeling enough, feeling satisfied, feeling content, feeling self-love, feeling valuable. And that's something that no one can dictate on how that is for you. It's something that you should be feeling yourself. And it's definitely something that I make a daily part of my own routine, which is to wake up and cultivate self-love from the moment I open my eyes to the end of my day. And my day is really framed around how can I be of love and how can I be of service to all. And really that comes from being really connected with self-love and compassion for myself.
And I know that's what your office space is. Every time I walk in there, it smells good. There's beautiful oils. You've got a salt lamp in there. There's beautiful music. It's honestly, I'd like to make an excuse to visit there every day.
I do run my own health retreat spa.
I walk in there and I think, I'm just going to lock that door. Let's do a bit of yoga. Let's do a bit of safe space. And I feel like that's what students really are happy to come and see you, because you create that, I suppose, like it's like a warm hug when you walk into your office. That's how it feels. It feels like I can breathe out. I am safe. There is nothing in here that I can't say, and I will get support. So
Yes.
I hope that.
Absolutely.
I hope
yes,
that
that's definitely.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
I want to
what
come
we
and visit
create.
now.
Yeah, you should come and
on
visit.
a Friday as well.
Come on a Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely, you know, what it's all about for me as a practitioner in the healthcare industry, is about how can I create a sense of safety and security for people who are vulnerable and really suffering on some level in their life, to feel safe enough to open up and, you know, disclose to me some really tender-hearted things that are going on in their life, and how can we work towards creating a solution of the best care for themselves. So we have, and maybe this is a good segue to talk about like our PBC philosophy and what our wellbeing team looks like. But there's so many people available to help at PBC, and I feel like it's really grounded right from like wellbeing is part of the curriculum. It's what we launched with our care.
Oh,
Was that?
Oh, we lost her.
Hang on.
Am I back?
Where's she gone? There she is.
Back
You're on
to
the side though.
Oh, we were
Am
going to
I
be clean slate.
Flip it, sister.
Sorry, Richard.
Oh, it must have like technology. See, it's out to
Are you
sabotage.
doing a yoga inversion at the moment, Anna? Hey,
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better?
perfect.
Downward dog.
Oh,
I
great.
feel like they're on the Brady Bunch with these screens.
Yes, we are back. But yeah, I think PBC does a really good job, and I'm really happy to be part of the team there, because wellbeing filters from like our care class to our care class teachers, to our teachers, our TAs. It feeds all the way up to the messaging that we're giving through our year co's, deans, deputies, principal. It's even supported by like our admin staff who are like checking students' attendance and then making sure that we are linking in with our vulnerable children, right to our cleaners, our ground staff, to our specific wellbeing team, which we have Steve Jones, who's our senior school guidance officer, and anyone who's in 10 to 12, you're welcome to pop down to J Block and say hi to Steve. We also have Hilary Wilson, who's our school-based youth health nurse, and she's an outside agency that operates on site, and she can definitely support our young people, particularly around sexual health and health in general. So she's a registered nurse and a very valuable asset to our school. We have a school-based chaplain, so John Catterall. He is like a beautiful man who definitely comes from a heart-centered space in supporting our young ones just to be connected and grounded and open, and creates a wonderful space in terms of modelling to our young boys in particular. And we have Abby Beasley, who's a school psychologist, and she operates on site so that our students don't have that barrier in terms of accessing healthcare outside of the school environment. And I'd have to say something that I'm really proud of that's launched this year is Clontarf, which is supporting our Indigenous boys. And it's really a program about engaging them with education beyond the classroom, and something that will support them once they leave year 12 as well, with pathway options. So we have a lot going on at PBC. And one person actually that I forgot is Candida Gorey, works for our youth drug and alcohol counselling support. So she's also part of our team.
I think that's the amazing thing about PBC. People ask me all the time, how do you work in such a big school? And having 2,700 students can seem probably overwhelming from people from the outside. But the biggest thing I take from it is the fact that we do have a large campus, is that we can offer so much support. And the amazing thing is exactly what you've outlined there, Anna, and thinking about all of our deans and year co's, and it is phenomenal what students can access at school. This is their little hub. They don't have to leave school. They don't have the problems of, are mum and dad going to be able to get me to the appointment? Do I have access to even making an appointment? The services are all available here at PBC, and I feel so thankful for what we actually have available, which is mind-blowing, just mind-blowing. So
Yeah.
And
you really can like link in with your favorite teacher, and that can be your starting point. So if there's anyone out there who it's all about who you connected with at school in terms of an adult that you can really sit down and have an honest, open, authentic conversation with, and that's the starting point for a referral either to our team or for us to look at a real specialised referral to someone outside an external agency that will really support you in your healing journey.
That's right. And that's a perfect segue, Anna. I wanted to share something that was given to us at school from a beautiful student who was more than happy to share that with us. And I'll just go through and read it really quickly for you. Thank you for the beautiful lesson we had today for care. I struggle a lot with mental health and self-image. Writing down the things we are grateful for really helped me. So for this lesson, we were starting off on gratitude journaling. And she's then said that she's going to start doing it in the mornings. Your idea of sending out a letter helped me to reach out to an old best friend and reconnect, something which I very much needed right now. I did mean what I said. You do make me want to be a better person. The kindness and love you have and hold make me want to be more like you, to have an open approach and positive attitude to everything. It helps to pull myself up when I'm not as kind and patient as I would like to be. I'm not super close to you as a teacher, but you make my mornings better when I see you, and I strive to have the same kindness as you. I would have spoken to you more about it, but I may have started crying and I couldn't find the words to thank you enough, but I'm truly so thankful for you. I always hear how much every student loves you, and it's true. You're an incredible teacher and mentor. Thank you for all you do for our class. I'm very grateful to have you as a teacher.
Oh.
And all that was from a 70-minute extended care lesson where a care teacher had had a chance to engage with their class about what gratitude journaling is and how simple it can be, that just write down 3 things you're grateful for. As simple as, I've woken up in a warm, dry, beautiful bed with clean sheets. Number 2, I can go down and open up a fridge or a pantry and have breakfast. Number 3, I have a school I can go to where I can learn. Let's keep it simple. Don't turn around and say, I'm grateful that I'm, got a holiday to, Thailand at the end of the year, or I'm grateful that I'm going to have a Maserati one day. Keep it simple and make it honest, and make sure it's things that will set you up for a positive day. Turn around and write someone a gratitude letter. That's something we've got a really big focus of at school. And we've looked at a lot of stuff from the Resilience Project, and the 3 key things are gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. And the simplest way to become present and mindful is to gratitude journal. And even if kids don't have an exercise book and a pen, they can open up their phones, because I'm sure they've all got those. Open up a notes page, download a free app, and start loving yourself, trying to find out what are those 3 things that I'm happy for about me. Number 1, I've got a body that moves. I've got a body that is working, that is healthy, and I can move it freely, whatever it is. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that we can do is start in our young people to be grateful, to say thank you, to do something kind for someone else. And it's a really powerful thing. And I feel like that will end up being the start of everything else starting to feel good, if you're starting to love yourself. So yeah, I know that I'm mindful of the fact we've already hit the hour mark. I want to also show, if I can, some of the phenomenal support services, obviously, that we can access. And just for parents to be aware as well, this will stay on our Facebook page, and you'll be able to access it on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to see this slide where you can have a look at and either call the numbers or check out the websites. But the last little thing I wanted to finish off with is that there is a phenomenal service for parents as well. So Anna has put this together for us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Reach Out Parents one-on-one support program, Anna?
Yeah, so it's a fabulous support option for our parents. So you just click on the website there, and that will take you to an option to organise like an online appointment. what it is a whole team of psychologists and professionals who work exclusively with parents to support them to assist their teens. So what you'll do is you'll organise an appointment, and then someone from their care team will be like, on this particular day, we're going to call you. So there's no barriers for our parents in terms of like, how do I get there? Like, I've got to look after young ones as well. And that person will reach out to that parent and they'll organise, they'll check out the background with the family, they'll organise an action support plan in moving forward, and then they will follow up with 3 additional sort of support phone calls to see if they're on track and if the support that they've suggested is working for their family.
That's wonderful.
And it's a free service, which is, that's just an added bonus, I think, for our parents. So there are people out there that you can talk to as a parent and be like, I'm really struggling with my teen. These are the concerns that are popping up for us. And can you help us create an action plan to move forward? And also, I think it's really important that parents have an opportunity to debrief with someone who's not connected with friends or family and is a neutral person that they can sort of offload and assist them in moving forward as well in caring for their young one.
That's perfect. And obviously for you as well, Karla, in your role as a holistic wellness coach, people will be able to access that through our Facebook page as well, because your knowledge and your way of living with life and seeing food as nourishment will obviously be a really great support mechanism, both for parents who are, I suppose, wanting some guidance and maybe even wanting someone for their children to go and talk to see that, here's someone who actually has the background and understanding of it, and these are some ways that we can help support people.
Yeah, absolutely. What I do is very much comes from a non-dieting background. It's more towards helping overcome perhaps obstacles or behaviours that you're finding that you're in a rut with and you can't mentally get out of them. So together with a client, I work through strategies, and everybody's so individualized and different. You've really got to take into account where they've been, and what their goals are and those sorts of things. So it's a process. It can take, I do 2 to 8 weeks with clients, depending on how much accountability they would like to have. But we achieve some beautiful goals. So it's something that I really do enjoy doing, and can really see the benefits that people, because they are so confused these days, it's hard to find answers, but the answer is actually within us, and that's all they need to understand.
Definitely. And I think that's the wonderful thing that you said as well, that it comes down to behavior. It's not dieting. It's not turning around and saying, radio, you're not eating potatoes ever again. They are evil. It's how can we change our behavior and what we're looking at. Potatoes are great.
I love my potatoes.
I love potatoes. And Ash, obviously for you, you offer some phenomenal services through The Secret Burden, and your workshops, unfortunately, COVID-19 has put a little hold on that. But just recently in Northern New South Wales, you held a extremely successful workshop. Would you like to talk about what kind of services you offer with The Secret Burden?
Yeah, so obviously my mum and I are part of The Secret Burden, and we don't have the qualifications to offer advice, but we have a world of knowledge that, like, for me, I get it. I've been in your situation where you're vulnerable, you're scared, and you don't like what you see in the mirror. And I'm that person that I just want to support people. I know how it feels and how hard it can be. And I've always just wanted to be that person that's there for someone, because I just needed that person to just sit there and just listen and go, you know what, I get it. Like, it's okay. And for me, I wanted to just support people. And I think that's what The Secret Burden is. It's just a platform where you can come and just go, you know what, I feel like crap, but hey, I've been there. I can give you some strategies that did help me. And if they don't help you, that's fine as well. It's an acceptive environment where I just want to support you in finding your voice and finding ways that really help you. And that's what I'm all about, really, is just helping people, as Karla said, be the best versions of themselves and not focus on our bodies, because so many of the times, like, we look in the mirror and we focus on our bodies, but we should be focusing on that. We should be focusing on the connections that we have and the people that are around us, and it's really just bringing the light to that side of life.
Definitely. And turning around and loving yourself. I mean, that's one of the most important things. I feel like I missed one of your great little things here, Anna. I'm hoping that is sharing. Did I do that correctly? Let me just check.
I think another thing while you're searching, I'll add, is that I think we've talked a lot about, you know, growing as a person and as a woman, embracing yourself and loving yourself. But at the same time, we should really build a team of people around us. Like, none of us can go through this alone. I mean, I get it. I tried to do it alone and it didn't work. And we really need to build that support network, whether
we need our little cheerleaders, don't we?
Yeah, like our Avengers squad.
Yeah.
America and our
girl gang.
They never fought solo. If they did, they didn't win. So
no, that's exactly right. These are some really fabulous bullet points that you jotted down, Anna. Do you want to finish us off with this before we end our amazing first Growing Good Women?
Yeah, happy to. So with all the evidence research out there, these are just some of the things that we know work in terms of building teen self-esteem. So, and I think as women, we can all relate to it. Number one is making yourself a priority. So it's about looking at your own self-care needs and making sure that, you know, that's taken care of. So being aware of your energy hygiene. So it is about, do I have enough energy? Do I have nutrition? Have I had a good night's sleep? Am I connecting with friends and family? Am I moving enough? Am I drinking enough water? Like, all of those basics in terms of like caring and looking after ourselves. Number two is stop being a people pleaser. So if you spend your whole life just focusing on pleasing others, you will never achieve that sense of self-satisfaction in terms of just allowing your own heart to navigate what you need and what gives you joy and happiness, basically. So it's about learning not to be that people pleaser who's focused on everyone else except for yourself. Number two is find yourself. And I think this can be really done through what Ash mentioned before, which is doing some of that journaling, looking at that reflection in terms of what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Using meditation as a key for self-discovery, allowing yourself to gaze inwards rather than outwards. So that very much is about disconnecting from technology and really connecting with your own heart. Number four is watching your self-talk. So that's huge in terms of looking at, am I like coming internally, or the way that I speak to myself out loud, or the way that I speak to others? Like, is it in a judgmental tone, or is it from a place of self-love and compassion and understanding? So really analysing, am I thinking in a positive way, or am I being too critical? The next point is don't beat yourself up over your mistakes. So just allowing yourself to learn from seeing everything as a life lesson and an opportunity to grow, rather than being fixed on mistakes or failures. The next one is acknowledging your successes, and that really is about creating a culture of celebrating, particularly with what we mentioned at the beginning of our session, just looking at and appreciating everything that happens in our life, and really supporting each other and building each other up with acknowledging successes and celebrations for our friends, for our family, for the people in our community. Nurturing a positive attitude. So that's also, again, looking at how you talk to yourself in terms of, you know, having that attitude of gratitude. So how you start your day with the things that you are thankful, that can really support nurturing a positive attitude. Learning how to say no, particularly like for our teens who go through puberty, that is like incredibly important, that when you say no, you're actually saying yes to yourself, and you're honoring yourself and supporting what your own needs are. Being generous to others. And the last one is learning how to love yourself. And one thing that I have implemented into my daily care routine recently is a simple, I guess you'd call it like a meditation mindfulness, but it's more just positive affirmation and really setting myself up for like a day where I feel right from the beginning self-love and gratitude for myself. And it simply is as simple as this, placing, and I'll get everyone to do this because it will be a repeat after me exercise. So place your hands on your heart. Doesn't matter whether it's your right or your left. And simply, you can close your eyes or keep them open, but it's as simple as saying these 3 words to yourself: I love you.
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 And when you take the time to do that self-care activity, what happens is it starts to work on your subconscious mind. So if you do have any resistance, or you're like, oh, that was awkward, or oh, that's a new feeling, or oh, that was embarrassing, all that's telling you is that it's not a familiar phrase to yourself. So over time, it will work on your subconscious and it will become automatic, and you will melt into that experience and you will be like, oh, wow, that feels so good.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Anna. And it's such a simple thing that someone can do in privacy before you even start your day. Wake up, say that 4 times over to yourself, that you love yourself, and that it's okay to actually say that. You're not, up yourself or full of yourself, or however it is we kind of, express these things these days. And obviously I'm going to repeat again how amazing gratitude journaling is, and how that can be a really phenomenal process to do. But ladies, I am so happy to say that that is the end of our first phenomenal Growing Good Women and Starting Conversations That Count. And I feel like that was a conversation that really counted. And I am so thankful that you all gave up your Tuesday night to hang out virtually with me and express how passionate you are about supporting women. And it's going to start some phenomenal conversations, I feel. So hopefully we'll have some workshops coming up, hopefully next term. Let's see how COVID kind of rolls out, whether or not we can do that at school. But keep an eye on our Facebook page. And obviously, if there is anything else we can support you with, please head over, check out our PBC website. But also at the end of the Facebook, there will be some links on there as well. And you can also go and check out Karla and Ashlee and see how they can support you too. So thanks so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Hopefully I will see your faces soon. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Wow.